Hello there, fellow YouTubers and fellow DIYers. Today's project, I am going to be fixing a leaky toilet ring. The seal on this toilet is bad, and I've been getting some leaks. This is my first floor bathroom, and it's actually, you know, when you flush, little water leaks down into the basement. Excuse me. So I'm going to be using this product. It's called the Perfect Seal. And if you look through my videos, I'm sure you'll see that I've done another video at least talking about this Perfect Seal. I used it previously in where I had to put in a commode in my second floor bathroom. And really is good. And especially if you're somebody like myself who's doing this all by yourself, you really need something that you can, if you do reseat if you seat the commode incorrectly, you need to be able to move it without damaging the wax seal. So first part here, I'm going to be disconnecting the water and disconnecting everything that's bolting, all the bolts and everything, and then I'll be removing the commode. So I'm going to have to pause the video here and there and restart it. But I'll try to video as much as I can so that I can show you how this is done. One thing that I do, first thing I do, is, of course, give the commode a flush after I turn off the water. And so I'll start with that. I'm going to turn off the water. Here's the main. Should turn pretty easy. Okay, I think it's off. All right, and I'm going to flush. Okay, I can tell that it's off because no water came in after I did that. Now, if you'll notice, even after you flush, there's going to be water remaining in the top. In fact, I'm going to flush again because I didn't really take much out. There you go. There's going to be water remaining in the top. Now, before I do a complete disconnect, what I do is use my shop vac to get all of that water out. Same thing in the toilet bowl. There's always going to be water. So even after you flush a few times, there's still going to be water there. So I'll use my shop vac to take all of that water out, because the one thing that happens is there's usually a little water remaining in the neck of the commode when you try to move it, and that can make a big mess. Also, when I disconnect the water connection here, there's going to be a little water remaining in the hose, and I'll catch that with my shop vac as well. So let me do that, get all the water out, and I'll be right back. Okay, so I was able to disconnect the water. And like I said, I use this shop vac. Just left it under there to catch all that excess water. Then I made sure I used it again in the commode. So it should be okay when I move it. I don't think I'm going to get any excess water. If you have any trouble removing the water connection, then use a tool. So there you go. So I've already removed the bolts that were holding in the sides, that were rather holding in the commode. As you can see, those have been removed. There's nothing there but the screws now. The lug nuts, I should say, have been removed. Nothing there but the screws. What I like to do is take a tool like this, ordinary paint putty knife, whatever you want to call it, and kind of go around before I start rocking the commode. Because if you're like me, maybe you sealed it, and which I did. Also, while I'm doing this, I'm going to do what I should have done when I put this floor in, and that is fix the tile so that it's, I kind of did it the lazy way. Just went around it, and I should have just removed the toilet then. And if I had done that, maybe I wouldn't have a leaky commode now. So anyway, next step, you kind of rock the toilet back and forth until you break that seal. And I always wear gloves when I'm doing this because I definitely don't want to be touching anything icky. So as you can see, it's loose. Okay, so what I'm going to do is put the phone down here for a minute, and a camera, phone, whatever, and I'll be back after I get this thing lifted. Okay, I was able to move it, and this is what it looks like underneath. So if I go down in, looks to me like the problem is just that I have a leaky, worn out wax seal. And again, I'm going to be using this Perfect Seal. Let me show you. To replace this one. And first thing I like to do is I just work around it here. This is the messy part. I see people doing this and they do it with their hands. I'm not going to do that. Even with gloves on, I'm going to make sure that I use a tool or something that I can clean later. Here we go. So pull that out. That is got to go in a trash can here, but don't have, oh, here we go. All right. Now, you just remove all this gook. I want to check and see if my flange is good. It looks like the flange is okay. I thought maybe it might be cracked and I'd have to replace it, but it looks like my flange is good. As you can see, this is messy work. All right. Well, one thing is good I can tell is that the water really wasn't leaking out on the floor at all. The leak is definitely just happening down with the seal. So here we go. Let's get this all cleaned out. All right, so I'm going to pause this video for a while so I can get this gook all cleaned out. And then I'll show you step 2, which is putting in the seal. You also want to check your commode because a lot of times there's wax up inside of the neck of the commode, and I'll do that. So I'll pause the video for a minute and I'll be back. Okay, I found some bolts or screws that will work. They're the same diameter, and I tested them. They work with the lug nuts. They're a little bit shorter. That way I'll be able to screw them down, bolt the commode down really tight, and I won't get any rocking. So as you can see, I've lined up the new wax ring, or the new Perfect Seal wax ring. And the next thing you do is get your bolts in place. And then once you do that, you're actually ready, and get them all, get them in place. Then you're ready to tighten up the commode or seat the commode. I'm going to clean this area up first and make some repairs here to the flooring. And then I'll be ready to get this thing seated. So I'll pause the video for a minute while I get that done, and I will be back. Okay, got the flange and the ring seated and ready. Got my bolts in place. Next thing I'll be doing is seating the commode. Actually, first I'm going to do a little work here, like I said, on the floor here, and then I'm going to seat the commode. So, almost done. Here we go. Okay, got the area all cleaned up. And now I am ready to seat the commode. One of the things that is really difficult when you're seating a commode, especially if you're doing it by yourself, is lining up the bolts. But with the perfect seal, I will be able to do that, because even if I have to lift it, I can do that because this rubber allows you to do it. Then once I have it in place, and I know that it's level and everything's like I want it, then I'll put the pressure on so that the wax ring beneath sinks down, and we're all good to go. So I'll pause the video again while I get the commode in place, and I'll be right back. Okay, so I've got everything in place. I'll get down here so I can show you. Bolts are lined up where they should be on both sides. The commode doesn't rock. There you go. So once I get everything reconnected, we'll run a test and see that everything is seated properly and there are no leaks. So I'll be right back. Okay, so I've got everything back in place. Water's reconnected. I'll run a test and nothing leaks. Gone down in the basement to make sure nothing's leaking there. So this problem has been solved. Again, this is really, really easy. A lot of people are kind of afraid to do anything like this, and they'll pay a plumber to come out. But if you're even a little bit handy, you can do this job. And I'll show you. The commode is tight, doesn't rock. Bolts are on good. And that's it. Get my bathroom cleaned up and put everything back, and I believe this job is done. Hope everybody's having a great weekend, and I will see you in the next video.